I'm going to cut to the chase right now. I believe in democracy and I believe in absolute freedom of speech. It gets me in trouble sometimes. I do. This includes the right of individuals with odious views to express their beliefs, to agitate for their positions in the arena of ideas, power of persuasion, and even to run for office with those odious views and ideas. I also have a right to disagree and be very vocal about it, making sure that people with some of these odious views are defeated at the ballot box. In November, Marjorie Taylor Greene got elected to the U.S. House, representing Georgia's 14th congressional district. I would like for her to resign or be expelled from the U.S. House of Representatives. It's bad enough that her far right wing extremism makes Sarah Palin looks like a reasonable moderate by comparison. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a fanatic, a dangerous extremist. I'm not anti-gun, but she's the kind of gun nut that makes the position of gun control sound attractive. For the record, I do not own any firearms, but I am in solidarity with the Socialist Rifle Association. With some on the far right, these malicious, leftists, people of color, Jewish Americans, the LGBTQ community, and trade unionists and others alike need to protect our collective selves from this particular faction of the hard right. Now, I want to make it clear when I say right, I do not mean that every person who is a conservative is out to go and commits acts of violence against you. I mean, just I don't want to paint it that way. I am talking about a very hardcore faction. In this, the 70s, the left had their version of it, the Symbionese Liberation Army, Patty Hearst, that sort of thing. So, I mean, I'm being fair about this, and I'm not trying to attack normal mainstream conservatives over this. But getting back to Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's not your garden variety conservative that's pro business, very socially conservative, that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, she's a gun nut that wants to, in her commercials, her campaign commercials, she insinuated that she wanted to shoot down members of Black Lives Matter, Antifa, socialists. She's a fundamentalist Christian, and I think that the kind of I don't mean that she's you like you know I don't mean that she's like a normal evangelical, but I the kind of person she is, I wouldn't be surprised that she follows Christian identity, which is racist and anti-Semitic form of Christianity. She's a conspiracy nut. She's on board with QAnon. She referred to George Soros as a Nazi, which in itself is a anti-Semitic canard, a trope about the man. A man who was in Hungary, raised as an Orthodox Jew, caught by the German government at a young age, forced to go out and find Jewish people. He was forced as a young kid to do this. Doesn't make him a Nazi, but what he did is why he fights for social justice today to make up for what he did in the past. It's a burden on his shoulder. To call him a Nazi would be like calling Pope Francis, excuse me, Pope Benedict XVI a Nazi, John Retzinger, because he was drafted against his will as a young kid into Hitler's youth. He was a corporal in the German army, deserted the German army during World War II. He's no Nazi either, not at all. Um, she believes that Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar are part of a radical Muslim movement to try to Islamicize the U.S. And she was urging that they would swear on a Bible instead of a Quran. There's a problem with that. Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib are not Christians, they're Muslim. How would she like it if Muslims wanted to force Marjorie Taylor Greene to swear on the Bible, on the Quran instead? She wouldn't like it very much, would she? She wanted to file articles of impeachment against Joe Biden, I guess because he's not Donald Trump. He doesn't belong to the Republican Party. Didn't even get into office yet. And she was saying, I'm going to file for articles of impeachment. Go ahead. I'm no fan of Joe Biden, but Joe Biden did nothing that was worthy of impeachment. You can make a case that if you're going to go and try to remove somebody from office, do it for the right reasons, like Joe Biden's support for the Iraq War in 2002 when he voted for the damn war. But I'm sure her position on the Iraq War was supportive and she was pro-war. She played the role in the January 6th insurrection that took place, the Diet coup, the botched up attempts to try to change the election. Um, she claims that white males are the most discriminated people around. And here's the clincher. In 2018, 2019, on Facebook, she basically commented and wrote on the idea of having Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, and Barack Obama executed. This person is violent. She's a violent person. And the minority leader, Kevin McCarthy, said, I'm going to go and have a talk with her. You see, there's a double standard. When Republicans make extremist statements, they usually get a little tap on the wrist. Someone like Alan Grayson in Florida, a Democratic congressman during the Obama debate, the Obamacare debate, basically said, Republicans don't want you to have health care. They want you to die. Well, the Democratic Party was just like, well, that's just not right. And it's just not very the decorum. They went decorum him, decorum police him, tone police him, reprimanded him for saying mean things about those Republicans. But when someone like her comes along and say things that make his comments look tame by comparison, and at least with Alan Grayson, he was telling the damn truth. But when someone like her make her extremist statements, eh, it's no big deal. Can you imagine if AOC would have talked about assassinating Republican politicians? Or can you imagine, or anybody else from the squad for that matter? Can you imagine the outburst there would be by the hard right? She needs to go. I didn't like people like Michelle Bachmann, who was one of the worst members of the House years ago, and they get worse. I mean, it's like Sarah Palin, Governor Sarah Palin of Alaska, and Michelle Bachmann of Minnesota's sixth congressional district. They're crazy, but the Republican Party pushes the envelope further and further. How crazy or more extreme can I get? And they got the nerve to say that the Democratic Party's off their hinges. I'm not a Democrat, but the Republican Party has some damn nerve lecturing the Democrats on how extremist they are when you got someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene in Congress. She has a right to her views, as bad as they are. I have a right to disagree with it. But someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene should not be a sitting member of Congress when she's threatening politicians, elected politicians. She needs to be removed from Congress right now, not just tapped on the wrist. And I want each and every one of you to start using the name to describe her. QAnon Karen. Get that thing out of Congress. Resign. Leave. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree, well, you disagree. Comment anyway. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, and that doesn't include threats, as a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you that if you're passionate about something, create a platform and utilize it because we're the muckrakers of our time. Hit that notification bell, subscribe. And until next time, I am American Social Democracy. I'm going to try to make myself feel a little bit better here by ending it on a positive note. Peace. And Bernie Sanders for president in the year 2024.